So we've kind of worked with, kind of two things. We've worked with graphing through standard form, right? Where you have like, let's erase the two. X squared plus 4x plus, let's go 4. No, let's not go 4. That's 4 is ugly. I'm going to get rid of that and go like 8 and 16, right? So if you think back a couple weeks ago, this here, if we wanted to graph from this, we would go like so, and we find the factors of this. Two numbers that multiply this, but also add to this, and be like, oh, that's, oh geez, I made my wrong numbers. That should be 12. You could say, oh, that's 6 and 2, right? Two numbers that multiply to that, but they also add to that. Good, right? So we could graph this really easy. We could say, oh, if I take this out, x equals -2, and x equals -6. So we go, okay, here, here, -6, -2, and we also know that this is our y-intercept at 12. And it kind of looks something like this. But we don't know what the vertex is, right? Now, we could go through the steps of like, okay, let's find the middle of these two, right? Which would be -4. That'd be our line of symmetry. Then take that -4 and plug it all back into this equation, right? But I don't know about you, but that seems kind of long to me, right? To find that. Plus 12, right? So, although, oops, sorry, close chat for a second. Give me a second, I closed chat, so I want to go here. Okay. So, that's kind of long to kind of work through, okay? That is a way we could do it, but there is a different way that we could find the vertex a lot quicker, okay? Now, if you remember, this is standard form, so standard looks like this. I'm going to put the A's and B's in front of it. Right? That's what standard form looks like. We also have vertex form, which looks like this. I'm going to put a y equals. Right? And if we remember, our vertex is h comma k. This is a very simple h comma k. Does everyone remember what that looks like? Does everyone remember what vertex form and standard form looks like?
No.
No? No. We have some yeses. Does vertex form ring a bell? Like, you've seen that before, right?
Oh,
okay. So today I'm going to find you, so what we're going to do today is we're going to learn how to jump straight from this form to this form. Okay, we're going to go straight from standard form to vertex form. Okay? So, the first thing I want to show you is this. Do you remember when we were doing factoring and we'd have a perfect square? Now we're going back to, geez, before Christmas. Right? So we just factored this one up here. Right? I'll do this one right here first. Okay? We just factored this one, and we got x plus 6, x plus 2. Okay? Now we have to think back to a perfect square. Okay? Now if we think back to a perfect square, I'd be very impressed if anyone could like pull this out of their tail. But think back to a perfect square, and I'm going to use a minus in here. Our goal right now, if we go back to, if I write over here, vertex form, my goal right now is to create this part right here. Okay? We've seen, oops. We've had equations where we've been able to factor it down to something like this. Okay? Actually, let's go backwards. Let me erase this. This is an example of something that's in vertex form already, right? The only thing is we're missing the a, or we're missing the plus k, right? Which is fine. The a right now is 1 and this is 0. But this is in vertex form, okay? Like this part in here. And even this one is. Y equals like x plus 2 squared. Both of those are in vertex form, okay? So if we kind of follow through on this, let's expand this one here. I'll keep in purple so it makes sense. If we expand this, we have x plus 2, x plus 2. And if we expand this, boom, 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 by rainbowing, x squared plus 2x plus 2x plus 4, which equals x squared plus 4x plus 4. Okay? If we go back to...
Wait,
go ahead, no.
where's the form?
Which one?
The form. Your x squared plus 2x plus
2 times 2.
2 times, and then the 2 4 from the bottom, and they just
So this one here came from this line. This one here came from this line.
and then you just add it.
Yeah, I combined the like terms. Okay? So this here is a perfect square. Okay? And if you remember what a perfect square looks like, I never taught you exactly because we just recognize it when we did the factoring. Like when we did factoring, we would look and go, okay, 2 numbers that multiply to this, x and x, and I needed 2 numbers that multiply to this, but add to the middle term. And we used to go like this. Okay, that's 2x, and that's 2x, right? Which would add to 4x. Okay? But if we take a look at this term, a perfect square is one where the number in front of here, you can take the square root of that. In this case, it's 1, right? The square root of this one is 2. You multiply these together, and then multiply that by 2. So 1 times 2 is 2 times 2, and it gives you 4. So I'm going to give you another perfect square. Let's do this one. X squared plus 16. What number should go in the middle here? So what's the square root of this one is 1. The square root of this one is 4. 1 times 4 is 4. 4 times 2 is 8. Okay? And this here is a perfect square. Okay, because if I were to factor this, I get x plus 4, x plus 4. And I could put these together to be x plus 4 squared. Let's do one more. So we take the square root of x squared is 1x, right? The square root of this is 8. 1 times 8 times 2 is going to be the middle term. So in this case, 16. Okay, I'm going to do one more. We're going to do the waterfall method like we did yesterday, where I want you to type it in chat, but don't press enter. Okay, x squared plus blank x plus 25. Okay, you type it in chat, but don't press enter right now. Nope, don't press enter. Ready, set, go. Everyone press enter right now and see what we got. Good. So square root of 1x is 1. So 1 times 5 times 2 equals 10. So that would be my middle term. Good. Let's do one more here. X squared plus blank x plus 100. Okay, don't press enter. So type it in chat. Use the one above as our example. And the way we're getting this 25 is taking the square root of 25. Realistically, this is x. Not even 1. But we take the square root of x squared, which is x. Go 1 times this times this times 2. Gets us this middle number. Okay, ready? And go. Everyone press enter right now. And what's our middle term? Good. Got a bunch of 20s. Good. Now I'm going to mess with you a little bit. What if I gave you this? Let me think here. Don't write it. Don't press enter in chat. Let's do this. X squared plus 16 plus what is a perfect square? What number do I need to put here to make it a perfect square? I press enter. Let's see what we get. 64. Like how Christopher typed it out. So if we think about it, this is 1. This is something, right? Correct? So 1 times what times 2? 1 times what times 2 equals 16? Okay, 1 times 8 times 2. So we put the 8 in here. And on the way up, we're going to square it to get 64. Good. Let's do one more. Let's go. Let's think of a number here. Realistically, I can do any number. There, I wrote a big hint in there of how to find that number right now. Okay, so press enter if you have the answer for me. Good. So we put 256 in there. Because if we kind of backtrack here, 1 times what times 2 equals 32, right? So we divide this number by 2, which gives us 16, which is going to be the number here. As we go up, we're going to go 16 squared. Good. Now watch Colin. 16 is right, but you got to square it on the way up. Okay. Now with that being said, we need to complete the square of something. So what we're going to do, this is going to seem like really weird once you start it here. Let make up my own question. I'm going to change colors here, just so we can decipher between these two. Let's go. Okay. So what if we have this? Oh my gosh, what is wrong with my tablet thing? Alright. First thing we can look at is this a perfect square right now? Is that a perfect square?
No.
Why? Because it's obvious? Or can you tell me why?
It's obvious because that would probably have to be 100.
Not 100, would it?
I mean,
Yeah, oh great. It has to be 25. You are so far ahead of the game right now. Okay, you're actually like 2 steps ahead of what we want to do. I'm so impressed. So, it's not a perfect square. So what we're going to do is we're going to make it a perfect square. Okay? And what we're going to do there is we're just going to ignore... Right now, we're just going to ignore this 2. Okay? We're going to put them way over there. And we're going to put in 2 blank spots. Okay? Because we're going to make this a perfect square. Now, what number would we have to put in here to be a perfect square? It's the exact same process we were doing down here. Right? And Cam, being a super smart guy, already said it's 25. Because if I take this out here, blank in here, he said, okay. He said, 1 times what times 2 equals 10. Divide this by 2, 5, and we squared 5, and we go up here, which equals 25. Okay, so Cam already said 25. Now right now, when we're looking here with just the 1, this will work for today. But when we have a 1 in front of here, all you're doing is dividing this by 2, and then squaring it to get that number. So he said 25. Right? Colin, good with 5, but make sure you square the number after. Okay? 25 is right. But here's kind of where like some math wizardry comes in. Okay? Okay. So this is where math wizardry comes in. We're not changing this question. So we can't just randomly add 25 in. But we could add 25 and then minus 25. Have we changed the equation at all if we add 25 then minus 25? No, because we added 0. Right? We haven't added anything. We added 25, but we minus 25 off. So we haven't really changed the equation at all. Okay? So now I'm going to separate these two. I'm going to separate this 2 right now like this. Okay? Now, I want to, inside these brackets, I'm going to factor this. Right? And we know it's a perfect square because we made it. Which means what's going to go in here is x plus 5, x minus 5 when we factor this out. Oh, that's a plus 5. Sorry, that's a plus 5 too. Right? 2 numbers that multiply to this, x and x. 2 numbers that multiply to this, 5 and 5. Right? And we add, these add up to 5x and 5x, which add up 10x. So inside this bracket is 5x plus 5 squared, since it happens twice. But then outside the bracket, we're going to add these 2 together, which is minus 23. I'm going to write it nicely down here. Okay. So we went from standard form to vertex form. So now we could draw our graph. and we know where that.
Oh, you got the power 2 from the vertex one?
We got the power 2 because we factored this. X plus 5 times x plus 5. So we just put it together instead of writing it twice. Okay? So now we know the vertex of this one is at, what is that? -5 and -23. Okay? Let's do another one. This will all come together. It's going to seem really foreign for you right now, but it'll all come together probably tomorrow as we continue through it. Okay?
I'm gonna learn like yesterday.
Really?
Oh, I'm yesterday kind of close something, but I still don't know.
Oh.
I said that.
Really? Okay. Interesting. Maybe it's okay. I'm glad to hear that. Maybe it's because you guys know you're factoring well this year compared to in past years. Okay. So I'm going to separate this out a little bit different. You, Christopher, slow down. Don't look at chat. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to separate okay? I'm going to separate that out. It'll make sense tomorrow. But like this little step that I do will make a little more step tomorrow. Okay? So, what number should we put in the pink right now? Okay? 49. Right now we're going to divide this by 2, which gets us 7. And then we square it, which gets us 49. Now what 2 signs should I put in front of these 2 things to make sure I don't change the equation? Minus on one and a plus on the other. Okay? Now what I do is I want to take this 49 out, right? So I'm going to move you out. Okay? That way I only have this part. Where'd pink go? Okay? Did that make sense what I did there? How I moved that out? Correct. We're going to keep the positive in. Because we can't have a perfect square that has a negative c value. Okay? I'll show you one later on, because to create that c value, you're going to times 2 numbers together. And you can't times a negative to get a negative there. Okay? So, from here, we're going to factor this. X plus 7. Good. That's going to be minus 9. Right? Now, don't write x plus 7 twice. Right? Because that's just confusing, where this is a little more wrapped up. Okay? So what's my vertex of this one? What's my xy vertex of this equation?
-7.
Negative. Good. Okay. Just so you guys, I'm going to help you guys out. I'm going to make like a flow chart, like I did exponential? 4. Okay, let me finish this point, and I'm going to come right back here. I'm going to make a flow chart like this for you guys as well. They're going to help your thinking to go along lines. The tough part of like teaching online, I found that other teachers might be better than me in math-wise, is kind of connecting the dots between the things where, like in class, we have lots of time to connect the dots, where I feel like we're learning process now, but not connecting. So I'm going to try to connect it with notes instead. Okay, if you look back here, right here, Colin, at this equation right here, the h is negative here, okay? So if you have a, right, get that?
Yeah.
So that's this line to the opposite, so it switches signs. All right,
Yeah.
mess with
Okay.
it a little bit here. Okay, where's my pen? Let's start with this one. Now all we're going to do today is x squared. We're not gonna add a number in here yet. That'll be tomorrow when we'll add a number in there. Okay, let's do that one. So first thing I do is I put my bracket here, because it kind of helps me figure out what I'm doing. Okay, what I'm looking at. Oops, I forgot next. Good job, Chris, not writing it down in chat. I want everyone to think about what number they're going to put there. Okay, don't write it down yet. We'll wait. Get a drink of water. Okay, let me see the number that we're going to put in my pink spots. What's going to go in there? 100. So we divide that number by 2. Good. So I'm going to add 100 and minus 100. That way, I didn't change the equation at all. So I'm going to take out that negative, because no one likes a negative Nancy. Has negative Nancy been replaced by Karen? Yeah. Does she understand it or not? Or is she even connected to her care? Okay. So here's my question now. Is what's my numbers going to be in here? What's my factor of this? Because I changed one thing. There's one thing different between this one here and this one here. What's the thing that's different between this equation and this equation? What's different? Besides the numbers. The sign is different. Good. Good. So the exact same thing is going to go in here. It's going to be x and 10. But what's going to go here in between them? Very good. Because the factor of this, right, is going to be negatives and negatives in here. This is minus 101. Okay? Can I get a, what should we do, a rating out of 10, how we feel about this right now? In chat there, so I can kind of understand how we feel. Wow. You have no idea, in the past, like my very first time I taught, I saw that negative, Dylan. Very first time I taught this course, this was like, took us a week to understand. So, alright. let's do, I'm going to put 1 up here. Let's do x squared. Ooh, should I make it difficult? Let's make it ugly. Pardon? Where's my okay? Oh, you want to, so what's the vertex this one? No? The second number is as it is. This is negative 101. Flip the sign, land of opposites. Yep. Okay. I'm going to do this one, then I'm going to give you one to do. Okay? So, what two numbers are going to go in there? Nope. Nope. It's going to be a decimal number. Does anyone else get 30.25? Tej, you're half right. Why are you only half right, Tej? Could someone type in chat why Tej is half right? What does he have to do to that number? You need to square it after, right, Tej? You're right. 11 divided by 2 is 5.5, correct? But we need to square that 5.5 to get to the number there. So what did we get? 30.25? 30.25 and 30.25. Right? And one is positive and one is negative. And then we go from there. Then we take this guy out. X squared plus 11x plus 30.25 plus 50 minus 30.25. Okay. And what number goes in here? The number that you got when you divide by 2. Good. Yeah. Is that going to be a positive or negative sign? Yeah. Whatever sign's in front of the x. You put it too early. And what's that? 19.75? Good. So our vertex for this would be negative 5.5 and 19.75. Okay? So that's today's lesson. Now, Ben, I know you just got here a little bit late, which is fine. Take a look at today's homework. I'll have to either go over it with you or you can watch the video. Let me see homework here first. Okay, it usually takes a little while to load. I'm going to stop the video right now.